Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at the all new clevertronics Lifelight and Lifelight Pro surface mount. Okay, now these are of course, this is basically a complete redesign that the surface mount Lifelight by Clevertronics has received, and probably the first one in probably 10 years or so. Okay, so what Clevertronics have done is they've ditched the metal enclosure for a complete polymer plastic enclosure. Okay, so that's one thing, and another thing that's new about these is that both of them use cool white LEDs, regardless of what range you get, whether you get the LP, EL, or L10. Now, the cool white used to be exclusive to the Lifelight Pros and the L10 Lifelights, but now it's available in all of them. Okay, so the Clevertronics have completely ditched warm white. Okay, so it's cool white now. Okay, so these are available, this new design's available in the EL, LP, and L10 ranges. Okay, Lifelight Pro is LP and L10 only. That's where the standard one you can get in the EL, the LP, and the L10. Okay, so what makes the new design different here is it's all plastic. Okay, so it's all plastic. Okay, so it's a strong polymer plastic. They're available in two colours as standard. You can get it in white and black. These are the white ones here. Okay, and they're available in a standard Lifelight and a Pro. The difference between that is just how many bulbs you get. Okay, on the standard Lifelight here, you only have one bulb, as where the Pro, you have two bulbs, right? Okay, and both of them are cool white. Okay, so it's cool white, so 6,000 Kelvin, as where the previous generation Lifelight standard with this one was a warm white, which was 2,000 kelvins. Okay, now so this is a complete redesign. So it's all surface mount. Another thing is that they're a lot lighter in weight too. So this will be good for to use as a torch. So if you want to buy these and make them into a torch, you can. Okay, because they're so light, okay, they've cut down the weight of them. They've also scaled it down, so it's like gotten a bit thinner, so it's not as thick as before. Okay, now I do have an older one out here. I've got the Sea Life out just to compare. Okay, this older Sea Life, and we'll compare it with that as well. Okay, so what's new? Okay, well, one thing is the enclosure. Another thing is the LEDs, and on the back here, if you have a look, okay, you can see that we've got not 4 but 6 holes, so you can actually use 6 screws to install it, or you can use 2 or 4. Okay, and it turns out that these holes are actually not the same footprint as the previous generation. If you take a look at this older one and we put them side by side, apparently these holes are a bit off. So here, I'll do it like this. As you can see, so these ones here are a few centimeters off. Okay, I might just get a ruler and I'll measure that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just measure these. So from here to here, it's about 10 centimeters apart. As we're on the new one, it's about 7.3 centimeters. Okay, so that's nearly 3 centimeters difference. So if you wanted to install this new one in spot of this, you would need to actually move the holes over. Okay, so that's going to be extra holes in the ceiling or the wall that you'll have to drill. But that's all right, because you can always use filler. Another thing that's different is that the holes don't come pre-drilled, so you actually have to drill them if you want to install it. Okay, and another thing is they've moved the cable entry hole to the back here, which is also not pre-drilled, so you're probably going to need a 20mm spade bit to drill that out. You just use a small drill bit. I've already pre-drilled the hole in the back here because you can run the wire in through here. Okay, so this is the previous design, the old metal enclosure, and this thing's got a bit more weight to it. Okay, so this is the old Sea Life SMS. Okay, another thing they've done is they've changed the part number too. So instead of SMS, it's now SM. So they've gotten rid of one of the S's, which is a big difference. All right. So we'll open both of these up, and another thing is that they don't use screws to hold them shut. As we're on this one, we had 2 screws at the top and bottom. These ones now we have clips. Okay, on the weatherproof version, which I've shown you in the bathroom, the clips are on the sides. As with this one here, it's on the edges. All right, so I'll open both of these up and we'll take a look inside. Okay, so we'll separate both the cover from the base and we'll have a look. Okay, to do that you just use, you still need a screwdriver, but you just got to stick it in and you just lever it and it will release. Okay, so open these up. Okay, I'm just going to show you the bases first of all. So here's our two bases right here for both the Pro and, if I can avoid them falling backwards. You know, they're not going to stay up, are they? Here's what I'll do, I'll put this behind them. There we go. Now that will hold them. Now one thing to note about these is the base is all plastic, okay? And another thing is that's different, there's no earth connection. These are double insulated, so there's no earth anymore. So if you had earthing, you're going to have to, you know, probably just leave it. Okay, on the weatherproof one, it actually came with dummy terminals, and unfortunately with these ones, it doesn't. So if you had the weatherproof one, you could wire the earth into one of those dummy terminals. Unfortunately with these ones, you can't, because there is no dummy terminals in these. Okay, so which is completely different. It's completely different. Okay, but they're both the same design, same everything. So both the Pro and Classic enclosures interchange, and that was the same with the old ones as well. You could interchange the base. So if you had a standard lifelight and you wanted to change it to a Pro, you could reuse your old base. Okay, and it's the same with these. And another thing that's different is they don't have the plug-in wires anymore. You just push it on, and when you push it on, these two brass pins plug in here, and that connects to circuit. And they also included this. This clips onto the base. Okay, so that way when you're trying to service or clean it, it's not going to fall off. Okay, so we'll set the two bases off to the side for now, and we'll take a look at the inside of these. So this is the inside of both of these. Okay, now there's only one negative, and the negative is that the inverters don't have the covers over them anymore. Okay, and the reason that's a negative is because dust can collect on it. Okay, over time, is you can get dust on this. Okay, and that means every so often you're going to have to open it up and get compressed air in there and blow all the dust out. Okay, so that's really the only negative, really. But otherwise, it still functions the same way. Okay, another thing I've noticed is that the port for the lamp head's been moved. It used to sit sideways, but now it's sitting upwards. So that's a complete redesign as well that Clevertronics have done with this. Okay, but this is basically the inverters. So you have your this big ballast here. On the Pro one, you've got a similar ballast, which is a little bit smaller. You've got all these capacitors. Okay, now these white things you see here were for you basically for ZoneWorks and data modules to plug in. So these ones have Clever Test Plus. If you don't have that, they're basically irrelevant, but you can adapt it to have those if you want it. Okay. Now if you take a look here, the battery on the single LED, this one here only has a single cell battery, as this one has two cells, probably because there's two bulbs. Okay, and it uses more power, so you need to have two cells so the battery will last the same time. And you get about 5 hours out of both of them before they go flat. Okay, now these are both lithium phosphate cells. Okay, so they are good quality batteries. They're a lot better than nickel cad, that's for sure, and they're actually a lot lighter as well. Okay, so these are pretty light, okay, just the actual cover. And the base without the cover on is still quite light as well. Okay. Now another thing I should point out, with the lifelight Pro here, you can actually configure it to be maintained or non-maintained. Okay, and I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so if you look here on the inverter, you see this little piece right here. Okay, right there, that's the maintained, non-maintained function. So where you get it out of the box, it's set to that, so that's non-maintained. But if you want to change it to maintained, what you do is you pull this black part off and slide on like that, and now it's set to maintained. Now it's maintained. Okay, so maintained means that you can use this, that this can remain on all the time. Okay, this will remain on 24/7, okay, regardless if there's power or no power. Okay, so if the power fails, it will still stay on until the battery dies. Okay, and when the power comes back on, it will still stay on. Okay, that's not bad, is it? That's actually quite cool. I didn't realise that that was like that. Okay, so I think the other Lifelight Pros that I have might be able to do that too. Okay, So, but because the Pro, you can get maintained as well. So if you want it to just be used as a normal light, you can. And the switched active one actually has a lead on here that plugs onto this. Okay, and when that's connected to the switch, that connects and disc breaks that circuit. Okay, so that's now maintained. To change it back to non-maintained, you simply just slide it off. Then you just slide it on here like that. And now it's set to non-maintained, if you can see. So right now that's non-maintained. Slide that off. That's maintained. Okay, so that's pretty cool that Clevertronics did that. So now the user, the person who installs it, can have the option if they want it to be maintained or not. Okay, but as you get it out the box, it's set to non-maintained by default. Okay, so, okay, but you do have that option. Okay, and if you want to make that a switch live, I think you can probably buy, you probably need to buy a cable that you can plug on there and that you can wire in. Okay, all right, but that's pretty cool. I had no idea I could do that until I noticed that. So now you can actually configure this to be maintained. On the standard one, unfortunately, it's non-maintained only, so you can't really do it. Like this part here comes off, okay, but it doesn't do anything. This part here is the same as that, but it doesn't really do anything. Okay, so this is non-maintained only, regardless of where that is. Okay, so yeah, that's completely different on the standard one. But otherwise, they're both emergency lights. They're both good quality. They're both Australian designed and manufactured. Okay, and I think they're going to be pretty good. They are user configurable because of this you have on here on the Pro. So if you want maintained, you just move that black finger and then you've got maintained. Okay, but if you want non-maintained, you just leave it. You just leave it as it is. Okay, so I guess now the batteries do have some charge in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these in and we're going to turn them on. Okay, so I'm going to plug the standard one in. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Okay, I'll hold it up here. Okay, so that's cool white, as you can see. And that puts out a good amount of light. Now it's a D40 lumen output. Okay, as you can see. So that's the standard one. And it puts out a good amount of light too. So this one here will be good for so the standard one here, I'll just unplug it. Okay, to unplug it, you just pull that out. Okay, I can't really unplug the battery because if I do that, the battery goes flat instantly for some reason. I don't know why. I was told it just discharges, so you want to keep that plugged in. Okay, so the single LED, the standard lifelight, has the D40. So this one here will be good for a bedroom, bathroom, toilet, laundry, hallway, maybe a foyer, your kitchen, or anywhere where you just want the single bulb. Okay, now for a bathroom, you really want a weatherproof one because of all the steam and everything. Okay, if you're going to be putting it out in the patio, you want weatherproof, but this one here is just suitable for indoors. You can also use it in your garage as well, so if you want an emergency light in there, you can do that. All right, so that's the single one. Okay, or the standard lifelight. Now I'll show you the Pro. So we'll plug this one in. All right. Now this one here is the Pro one. Okay, so this one here has 2 bulbs. So this one here has twice the lumens of that one. Okay, so this one's D80. Okay, so this is the D80. Okay, it's got 2 bulbs. Okay, I'll hold it up high. It puts out a good amount of light too. Very good. So once again, it will be good to use as a torch or a camping light. Okay. All right. So if you can see that, I'll hold that up close. You can see that's pretty bright. Okay, you wouldn't want to be looking directly at that. Okay. All right, so that's that one. So the Pro one here, because you have the extra bulb and the extra lumens, this one here will be more for a hallway, okay, or a lounge room. Okay, so for a lounge room or a hallway, this will probably be the one for that circumstance. Okay, it's not just residential use you can use these in. They're also used in commercial areas and industrial areas like factories, schools, shops, big shopping centers, warehouses, hardware stores, and all that. Okay, but I'm just saying that it is a good idea to put these up in your house. So if you're want emergency lights for your house, these are probably what you want to go for. Okay, now you can also get them in the recessed model, okay, like a downlight. But if you don't want to be drilling big holes in your ceiling, you can simply just purchase these surface mount ones, because all you need to do is just drill 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just need to drill either 2, 4, or 6 small holes. Then you just got to drill one bigger hole for the power cable to come through. Then you simply install the base, wire it up, and then you put the front cover on, and away you go. Okay. And once again, with this one here, you have the option. You have that in the Pro, you have the option of the maintain function. So if you want it to be on all the time, as like say a security light, you can do that. Okay, so you just need to move this little black thing from here to here. Okay, so that's your maintain function. Okay, but I'll just unplug it and slide it back across. Now it's non-maintained. Okay, so and once again, with the lithium batteries that Clevertronics offers on all 3 ranges, you get about 5 hours out of them compared to the old nickel CADs, which you would be lucky enough to get 2 hours out of. Okay, so so yeah, so that is the all new Lifelight and Lifelight Pro surface mount. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these back together now. So when you put these back together, you simply you need to put these brass pins in the same side as that terminal block, because otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, you simply just slide that on, you just give it a push. Okay, now it's back together. So no screws to do up. So it's actually a little bit faster. So this is actually these are actually a bit faster to get back together, aren't they? Okay, compared to this one. Okay, just checking in there to be sure I'm not snagging anything. Okay, so that goes with that. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll do a quick comparison between the old one. Okay, so this is our old one, and this is our new one. Okay, here I'll hold this up. So you can see the difference there. Okay, yeah. So I'll do it this way so you can see if you can get a better view of it. Okay, now this is it side by side. As you can see, the new one is actually more compact. In fact, I'll get a ruler and I'll measure it for you. And we'll measure them. Okay, on the old one, the thickness here is 6 centimeters. So 6 centimeters in width, okay? I think that's thickness. On this one here, it's 4.5. So that's basically 1.5 centimeters difference there. Okay. Now lengthwise, this one here is about 26.5. So this one here is about 24. Okay, so that one's definitely a lot smaller. Okay. Okay, now we'll measure how wide they are now. Okay. That's about 14.6 wide. This one here is about 12.4. Okay, so the new one is more compact and more lighter weight. Okay, on the older one, once again, they just took the head of the recessed Lifelight and put it in this metal enclosure to get your surface mounted Lifelight. Okay, so that's how you used to get it, but on this one here, it's completely different. Okay, and another thing that's different is the way the test button and the LED. The test button and this are actually now at the top and bottom. They used to be on the left and the right. Okay, so that's a different redesign as well. Okay, but otherwise, I think they're good solid units. They are emergency lights. They give you all your emergency light needs. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's the old model or it's these new ones. Okay, now this old model, of course, would have been discontinued, of course, but Clevertronics would still probably have some left over. So once they're sold out of those, you won't be able to get them anymore. Okay, you're just going to have to move on to these. Okay, and the new ones I actually like. They're not that bad. They're lightweight. Okay, for this one here, I think that's probably about 2 kilos. That one there, I'll probably say is about probably 1 kilo or something like that. Okay, so it's it's a lot different. Okay. Okay, so I'll just show you this side here. On this side we have the info sticker, LP, Lifelight Pro, the part number, C Life Pro SM. Okay, and even Clever Test Plus mod always comes with that. Okay, so that's the Pro, and this is the standard. Okay, Lifelight, C Life SM, or it could be L Life SM or E Life X SM. That one there could be L Life Pro SM. Okay, so depending on that depends on what one you get. Now price wise, they're the same price. Price hasn't changed. They're still the same as the metal one. Okay. Now the Pro one, of course, is more expensive because you're paying for that extra LED. So that's, and also that extra battery cell. But and also, if you buy an L10 Lifelight Pro, that will be the most expensive. Okay, the cheapest you can get would be the EL version of this one. Okay, so that's basically, I think that's all there is. I don't think I can give you anything else. And of course, you do get Clever Test Plus with these as standard, as you can tell by that symbol there. You can get ZoneWorks Hive, and you can get data and all that, but those options are more expensive. So Clever Test Plus is probably what I prefer. I don't really plan to use computerized monitoring for the emergency lights. All I use them for is just to keep my house lit up when our power fails, basically. So that's basically it. So that is the all-new Clevertronics Lifelight and Lifelight Pro surface mount. So I hope you enjoyed, and that'll be it.